Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys all of the records on my Discogs Wantlist, aka all of the records that I am currently searching for. I thought this would be a really fun video to go through my want list on Discogs because I haven't gone through it in a long time, so I think it'll be interesting to see if any records have decreased or increased in value and in price. Most of the records on my Discogs want list are like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, so I know I'm not going to be buying them anytime soon, but it's still fun to keep in like a list, which is the want list. I also thought it would be kind of a good idea in case any of you guys have these records and you don't want it and you want to, give it to me. That would be great. But let's get started. I believe most of the records on this list are soundtracks, and you'll see some of them are going for hundreds and thousands of dollars, so I can't wait to get into that. And Discogs, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a database or a catalog of every single record pressing out there, and it also includes CDs and cassettes, but in this video I'm just focusing on vinyl. So when I pull up my want list on Discogs, it's automatically sorted alphabetically by artist, so that's just how I'm gonna do this. And I'm just gonna show you guys like the really expensive ones because I think it's really fun and interesting. The first record on my Discogs want list is 5 Seconds of Summer Meet You There Tour Live. This was a live album that they did in 2018 during their Meet You There tour, and they pressed it onto vinyl, and it's super rare, and I really wish I was able to get it, but I wasn't collecting vinyl when it came out, and now I've been trying to find it ever since, and everywhere I look it's probably around $200. So there's no way I'm going to be buying this anytime soon unless they repress it, which I really hope they do, and there's definitely a demand for it, so I really hope Five Sauce repress this record. Sorry guys, I forgot about this 5 Seconds of Summer one. This is the self-titled picture disc, which a lot of people want, so that's why it's super rare. I really wish they would repress it. This is the only pressing that they have of their first album, their self-titled debut album on vinyl, and it's on a picture disc. It was actually a Record Store exclusive, I believe. But yeah, this one is selling for around $500 on Discogs. It's super expensive, but I would love to have it one day. Next up is H, which is for Hans Zimmer. I love Hans Zimmer. He's probably my favorite composer, and I've been looking at Dune recently, the movie. I've been really wanting to get the soundtrack on vinyl. Now the first run for this soundtrack on vinyl was super limited, and now it's reselling for like $200 to $300. That one is kind of like a different pressing. It's called Dune the Sketchbook, so it does have a lot of extra stuff in it, and it's on these really cool like 3 different colored pressings, which I think are black, green, and orange. So I really love the colored pressings, so they did recently repress it, which is the one that I'm gonna end up getting pretty soon probably. The repress is actually just the original soundtrack, the full soundtrack, and this is on a really cool sand colored pressing, so I'm definitely gonna pick that up very soon. Also in H is Howard Shore. He composed the score for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and these records are so rare. Each movie has its soundtrack pressed onto vinyl, and they're like in 5 LP or 6 LP sets. The Fellowship of the Ring alone is going for close to $1,000. That is so crazy to me. Two Towers and Return of the King are just only a couple $100s, which is still high, but I think since Fellowship of the Ring is the first movie, that's why the soundtrack to it is going for nearly $1,000. There are different represses and like bootleg pressings of the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, which I do have, and that's good enough for me. Moving on to some Marvel stuff in J. I think it's pronounced John Pesino, something like that. But anyways, this guy John, he is a composer, and he's done a lot of work for Marvel, video games, and TV shows. So there's a Daredevil 7-inch record with the Daredevil theme song from the show Daredevil. I really love that show, and so I kind of want the soundtrack to it on vinyl, although it's going for kind of more than I would pay for it. The season 1 soundtrack is going for about $50, which I wouldn't pay $50 for it. Like, I don't need it that much, but it would still be cool to have in my collection. Same thing with the video game soundtrack for Marvel's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's not something that I would pay $50 or $60 for, but it would be really cool to have in my collection because I love those video games, and the soundtrack to those games is so good. You guys should definitely check it out. In L, I have the composer Ludwig Göransson. I'm pretty sure I did not pronounce his last name right, but he did a lot of work for a bunch of different movies. Like, he's worked with Christopher Nolan, he's done Black Panther, The Mandalorian, Tenet. So like I said, he composed the soundtrack for the Mandalorian TV show, and I love that TV show, and I really want that soundtrack on vinyl, specifically the first season. I really want to try to find the first season's soundtrack on vinyl, which is a picture disc. In M is the composer Michael Salvatore. I know him from the work that he's done on the video game Destiny. Destiny is one of my favorite video game franchises. I love Destiny so much, and I played the first game and the second game, and I really love the score, the soundtrack to the video games. It's so amazing. I still just listen to it like when I'm not even playing the game, so I would love to get it on vinyl. However, it's super rare. Volume 1 is all of the music from the first game, and Volume 2 is all the music from the second game. Obviously, Volume 2 is more common, so it's not as expensive, but it's still going for a couple $100s. Volume 1 from the first game is honestly the one that I want more because I like the first game soundtrack just a little better, but that one is going for like $1,000, which is crazy because I really want them to repress it because I would just love to have that in my collection. Also in M is the composer Murray Gold, and he did Doctor Who, so he composed some of these songs and soundtracks for Doctor Who, and I really like that TV show, and I specifically really want this record pressing, which has all of my favorite songs from like the new series. It's the best of series 1 through 7, which has my favorite songs in it, so I would really love to have this on vinyl, but I cannot find it anywhere. It must be like completely sold out, or nobody is selling it because it's not even available on Discogs, and I just can't find it. So I'm not sure if I'll ever get that, but I would honestly love to have it in my collection. In N, I have Niall Horan. I do have his second album on vinyl, but not his first album. I would love to get Flicker on vinyl, but now it's super rare, so it's going for almost $100 depending on where you look. I don't love it enough to pay $100 for it, but if it does go down in price, I would totally pick it up. And lastly, I have Post Malone. I have all of his albums on vinyl, like the LPs. I still need to pre-order 12 Karat Toothache, but that's not going to come until like February. And I do also have a couple of his songs on 7-inch vinyl. He does have a couple of them that I don't have that I would like to have. There were a couple different variants for Circles and Goodbyes. I would like to have the more rare pressings, like the ones of Circles and Goodbyes with the different cover and the different colored vinyl. So that would be cool to have, but it's not necessary because I do have those songs on the Hollywood's Bleeding LP. But those two would be really cool to add to my 45 collection. Unfortunately, those ones are going for like $50 to $100, and I just wouldn't pay that much, especially for a 7-inch record with just one song on it. Like, I would just save that for like an LP. That is it. Those are all of the more expensive records on my Discogs Wantlist, aka all of my ISOs. There were some records that were pretty cheap, but I didn't show them because they're not rare. There are a lot of records in my Wantlist that are like between $100 and $1,000, which I don't think I would ever get those records, but those would just be so cool to have. Let me know what records you guys are looking for. Let me know which records are in your Discogs Wantlist. Also, let me know if you have any of the records in my want list. That would be really cool. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!